the U.S. Open. We're going to go straight into the U.S. Open talk because it's a major. And yeah, of course, there were some things about the Safeway that we wanted to chat about. And of course, the DFS review. But we're going to move past that, go right into U.S. Open talk. If you do want to follow along with what some of your favorite pros did last week, check out the article that I'm going to put out this afternoon that'll chronicle all of what your favorite pros did last week. Actually, all of them had a lineup in the top 110. So an interesting week to go out and see, especially with a lot of the chalk missing, Jeff, last week. It's good to see some of the pros have some high finishes. Alex up there came in 16th. Petty Theft also up there in the top 25. So I'll chronicle that in an article afterwards. But let's jump right in and talk about the U.S. Open. Okay. We've got 6 golfers above 10,000 on DraftKings this week. And, of course, a full field of betting, 144 players. So let's talk about Winged Foot, where it's going to be played. Last time it was played there, 2006, the winning score was +5. Geoff Ogilvy was the winner there. Phil Mickelson's blunder. I wanted to say a few words about Phil Mickelson's blunder, and then I'll go into a couple of stats on the course that I found.
Yeah, so, Mickelson at sorry, I was just making sure we were back up. But yeah, okay, so we're talking Mickelson at Winged Foot, right? That's what we're.
Yes. Yep.
I've seen that sequence so many times now in my life, and it's really incredible. It's not just because it doesn't just involve Phil. Like, you have to involve 4 or 5 other players. Furyk had a 5-foot par putt that would have got him into the playoff. Montgomery made double bogey from the fairway. Jeff Ogilvy chipped in for par at the 17th to get himself into the clubhouse. So, Mickelson obviously taking driver off the tee. I think his real mistake was probably going for the green on the second shot where he clipped the tree, came down. If he chips back into the fairway, he doesn't make par, but a pretty easy bogey from there. Probably just got to find the green. So, Mickelson's blunder at Winged Foot it's not Van de Velde-esque, but it's right up there. The thing I always say is, you have to include other people in it, because I think Colin Montgomery's mistake was probably worse in that spot, and Ogilvy obviously had the career chip in there. So just a crazy sequence of events last time we played Winged Foot, and I think it's very. I think it's a very good moniker of what to expect this week at Winged Foot. Expect crazy stuff to happen, because this course is so hard in so many different ways. The rough, the fairways, skinny fairways, and then the greens here are, they're like Augusta on steroids, I think, just from having looked at them and from having read. So it's going to be crazy. I think you're going to see lots of crazy stuff happen again. So.
Yeah, par 70, 7,500 yards. So I guess in a way, the par 70 is similar to Harding Park, but it's 300 yards longer. And also we have some history on how hard it really has become. So I'll give you a couple of stats that I found from the 2006 tournament, which, take it with a grain of salt or don't. Maybe it is somewhat attributable. Now, again, we've had 4 U.S. Opens played here at Winged Foot. But again, it was redesigned in 2013 through 15 by Gil Hanse, who, in my opinion, might be the best golf architect. Yeah, there we go. That was a little better. Architect out there in the world. And it was a Tillinghast original design. So you've got 2 of maybe the best of all time. Certainly Hanse of our generation and Tillinghast of the generation before us. Just a great course. 50% of the fairways. And because of the long rough, we got 3.5 inches on the first cut. And then it goes up to 5 inches, just 6 feet wide. So 2 yards wide. You're going to go from 3.5 to 5.5. Just incredible. You will lose some golf balls in that rough this week. That's going to make about 50% of the greens being hit. Yep. And then it doesn't stop there, though, Jeff, right? When you get around the greens, some of the rough around there looks like it's 6 or 7 inches long. It's going to be really difficult, which is going to lead to an over par cut. It was 10 over par in 2006. Yeah. Can you think it's going to get to 10 over par this year? I can't imagine it will, right?
I don't know, man. I really, really I don't think that we're being building it up to be something it's not here. I really think this is going to play ridiculous. Again, from everything I've read, like you said, obviously we've already seen the pictures of the rough here, but you look back, this golf course has gotten beefed up, like you said, from the reconstructions and stuff like this. This isn't the same golf course from 2006. It's longer. It's harder. I mean, there's literally one. Okay, they do have a drivable par 4. It's also got the skinniest fairway on the course and a skinny little green. Like, this is no means a birdie hole. I mean, I could see the drivable par 4 playing over par for the week. And then you have one reachable par 5. The other par 5 is probably going to play over par. Like, I am almost 100% positive the 630-yard par 5 will play over par. It's a severe dog leg, I think, to the left. And again, 630 yards, like, you just have to get in good position just to be able to make a good layup, like, on that hole. So I don't know where these guys are going to make birdies. I'm expecting a well over par. Like, if it's not plus 10, it'll be approaching plus 10. And then, Jason, it's cooling off on Friday. Like, the temperature is going from like high 70s to like low 60s for the highs. Is that like that? I mean, that's brutal. Like, I hate playing golf when it's cold. And I mean, yeah, these guys are pros, but they're going to lose some distance as well. It's going to be rough, man. Like, it is going to be, I think you're going to see like a +5, +6 winning score again. So I'm really looking forward to it. The players probably aren't.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And just to go on and mention the 600-yard par 5, granted, there's some people that will be able to reach it. But in terms of how it played at Harding Park a couple of weeks ago, there was a 607-yarder. There was a good amount of birdies there. Not a lot of eagles, though. So maybe average about 40 birdies around, somewhere in that range, depending on.
And I mean, but that's one other thing about Wingfoot is, like, it's not as straightforward as TPC Embark. There's more dog legs. There's a lot more dog legs on the routing, so it's gonna make I think birdies just, again. It's just like every hole just looks hard. So.
Yeah, it sure does. And it'll be interesting, too, I think, on a different perspective on what the ratings are going to be like, how many people turn in. And now we still got plenty of money to play for on the DFS sites, of course. But with NFL back, it may take a little bit of a backseat than it normally does. So if you're here joining us for the golf, we certainly appreciate it. But if you want to get in on the NFL action, we've got a great little promo going on for you. It's called the NFL Red Zone, where you're going to get 50% off your weekly NFL pass. So sign up today for an Awesemo Plus NFL weekly pass for 50% off when you use promo code Red Zone at checkout. That is all capitals. That's $750 a week for Awesemo Plus NFL. This gives you access to all of Awesemo's leading player projections, ownership projections, top stacks, and more NFL DFS. And I can tell you that our producer behind the glass in a single entry contest used all of these tools to come in third place, a nice $10,000 score for Nolan Kelly there. So definitely come in and join us on the Awesemo Plus site today. And Geoff, we've got even you joining in on some of the content, right?
Yeah, absolutely. For NFL, I mean, do a strategy show on Saturday. You can catch us out on the Awesemo YouTube channel. You can check out the From the Slot article. I highlight some of Alex's top plays from his model and stuff like that. You know, it's a free article. Obviously, can give you a taste of what's available on the site, but definitely recommend checking out all the site's tools. Lots of flash deals coming up and stuff. So, yeah, definitely check that out after the video.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go on and talk about maybe some of the golfers that'll help you win the $1 million on DraftKings this week for golf. It's a $100 buy-in, which, you know, maybe a little bit of rich for some people's taste. But, hey, there's only 23,000 entries in there. So that's about a quarter of the entries it takes for the $20 Millionaire Maker. And, of course, we've got our first clicks and bets coming up as well. So, Geoff, let's start off with some of our bets. In the U.S. Open, 144 players, maybe a couple of people we have never heard of before. Who did you gravitate to? And, of course, maybe tell us if you had anybody prior going into it, you know, maybe some futures bets.
So, I mean, I did have one futures bet and one main futures bet, and that was on Patrick Reed. And I've been targeting Patrick Reed for this event for a bit. A couple things. He's just a really good East Coast player. He won at Liberty National last year. He's won at Bethpage Black in the playoffs. Another Tillinghast design, or at least he was like part of the design of Bethpage Black. So there's some synergy there. And, you know, I look at this course again, you know, it's going to be rough for everyone. And I just think of a guy like Patrick Reed. It's going to be his 7th U.S. Open, or 6th or 7th. You know, he's made the cut in all of them. He's got multiple top 15s, T4 at Shinnecock. Great putter. If there's anyone who can handle fast greens, it's Patrick Reed. So I absolutely love him for this setup. You know, obviously the ball striking with Patrick Reed can come and go, but off the tee, it's actually been really, really good lately, Jason. Led in strokes gained off the tee at the Tour Championship. So I added to him here. You know, some of the books I use have like each way is to like top 8 or 9 this week. So I hammered him again this morning. The other dude I did bet, I'm kind of struggling. There's another player in that range, but I did bet Tommy Fleetwood. That was kind of my first other bet, coming off a good finish at PGA, not PGA, in Portugal last week. He went over and got some more competition. Closed with the 7 under par there. The ball striking with Tommy just needs to come back a little bit. He seemed very confident after playing there. The putting and scrambling and stuff has been great. So, I had to bet Tommy as well. He's a great US Open player.
Yeah, and Tommy Fleetwood, really interesting. 500 to 1 going into the weekend in some sites. And of course, if you use OddsShopper there on the background, if you are a golf bettor, take a look at those odds all throughout. He was 500 to 1 going into the weekend. Now, granted, like I said, he didn't win, but he ended up coming in a tie for third. And if your book offers, which OddsShopper can show you, any top 5 or top 10s, those would have been huge payouts. So I guess that means that him coming in at 40 to 1 and having that good weekend, is that what drew you back in, or were you targeting him even before that flash of form, excuse me, look at me combining those words, flash of form going into the weekend here at the US Open?
No, I honestly, I'm not sure if I would have bet him if he hadn't played. I think it's very self-aware of him, though, which I really like. I mean, I think he knew that his ball striking wasn't consistent enough, and he had a little break, and he's like, I got to get in more competition. And you read the interviews with him. I mean, he was working on some things, and the thing I really liked, and this is kind of what sold me on him, is he went to Portugal to work on things for the US Open. He didn't go to Portugal to win.
Nope.
He was playing every shot, like just working on stuff for the US Open. It obviously really worked out well too. So I love it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of, Molinari playing in a little weaker field event before he won the Open Championship. That's kind of what drifted back into my mind. So I absolutely love the lead up. We'll see if it amounts to anything, but that is kind of what sold me on Tommy this week.
Yeah, I think it's a great call, especially the fact that he knew everything was really bad, and it looked bad, right? I mean, not going to lie. His putting was saving him through the couple of weeks, but honestly...
And look, he put up some big rounds. Like, he put up a 64 at the PGA. So we have a player still scoring, but not playing anywhere near the height of their ability. Like, that's pretty interesting to me, especially now that he's worked on his weaknesses. So anyways, definitely in on Fleetwood this week.
Yeah, a couple more top 20 bets or first clicks for me. This guy, Rasmus Højgaard, let's talk about him for a couple of minutes. He's coming in at 550 to 1 on a top 20. Now, this is going to be his first major. He's 19 years old, but man, he's been almost unstoppable on the European Tour since coming back. A win, 3 or 4 other top 10s. What do you make of this guy? Is it a little too soon to play him in a tournament as hard as the US Open is going to be? Or do we just throw that out because he's playing so good?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are going to be. I'm interested to see the ownership on him, man. Everyone's excited about this dude.
Yeah.
Ben was like, he's like, I never play his Scubs except for Rasmus when he comes over on the show. I'm playing him. So, I mean, if Ben's in, that he's going to garner a little bit of ownership. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not discounting the talent. I am with everyone on this dude. I mean, obviously, just smoking the Euro Tour start after start. I mean, it's all there, but, it's still a young player. I mean, it's such a big difference to come from the Euro Tour circuit over to what is basically going to be like the toughest course the PGA players are going to see all season. 6,800. I think from a top 20 perspective bet, that's absolutely fine. I mean, the price range sounds about good. You probably even find a bigger than that, maybe. Again, go to OddsShopper. On the Awesemo site, it definitely like a good tool to use for stuff like that. So, but for me, DraftKings wise, I mean, I don't know. I haven't made a decision yet. I tend to lean toward away from these guys at US Opens. I feel like US Opens and majors, especially US Opens, where it's just getting your guy across the cut, getting into finishing position is so important. I tend to lean with the veteran players. Guys coming in with really solid form who have played the U.S. Opens before, not younger players. Yeah, he's in good form, but hasn't seen a U.S. Open setup. I think experience is so important in these kind of events. So I'll probably lean away from him on DK. Maybe I'll look for him for a bet or two, but I think he's probably better just as a pure betting upside than a DraftKings play.
Yeah, a couple of other names that I think stuck out to me a little bit in terms of the odds. Well, first, maybe just a observation. Xander Schauffele, using Odds Shopper, looks like he's almost the exact same price, and then maybe even a few books cheaper than Rory McIlroy, or maybe that's not the right exact term there to use, but 16-1 on some, McIlroy 18-1. Get your comment on that. Plus, Bryson DeChambeau 28-1. He has flown away. I mean, I know the form is out of touch since his crazy run after the restart. Then Matthew Wolff 80-1 in some places, maybe even a little higher. I'm seeing in a couple of other ones as well. Just had a top 10 and almost gave himself a chance to win at the PGA. So 3 kind of things I'm giving you there to talk about. Last thing I'll say about Wolff before I turn it over to you. Harding Park was an easier course. Do you think that is why we saw Wolff have a chance to win, and maybe this course toughness will get to the young kid, or does he have just as good a chance to play well here as he did at the PGA Championship?
I mean, look, if he drives the ball and gains like 1 million strokes on approach, he's going to have a chance here. I mean, everyone is going to have trouble around the greens, right? So there's some merit to it. I mean, that price is definitely really, really interesting. I don't think I'm going to go there. I mean, I just picture, I maybe I'm giving too much respect to these greens now, and they are going to be tough for everyone. But Matthew Wolff, not the greatest putter, and definitely not solid around the greens. I mean, I just feel like there's probably going to be a few too many strokes leaked in that regard, even if he's striking the ball amazingly. So I think the price is fine, though. Like, I mean, even if I'm not sold on him, I mean, I think that the potential is there. And really, when you look at that range, I mean, other than taking a shot on maybe like a veteran player, he still probably has the best upside. So I might not dip into it. I definitely think he's a good, solid DraftKings play, though. We've seen Matthew Wolff. He's got the major under his belt. The major, like competing in a major, is what I mean. Obviously, not winning it. So I'm definitely on him from that regard. I think I like him more of a DraftKings play than an outright. The Rory Xander thing is really crazy. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not crazy, but this Xander narrative that like he is just going to win something soon, and everyone is betting him, and his odds just get shorter and shorter every event. Every event, like he's 1,400 now, man. Like I like Xander. He's a great player. I love guys who just come and bring it in every majors. He's so consistent. There's no freaking way I'm betting Xander Schauffele at plus 1,400 now. I mean, that is insane. Like, Rory McIlroy, he's barely bigger than Jon Rahm. I mean, I'll just go up to plus 1,000 or whatever I can get Jon Rahm at. So there's just no value left in that line. And maybe he does win this week. And I guess if you're like a real believer in him, taking that line is fine. But I just feel like there's no value left in it. I don't know if I want to bet Rory, but I definitely wouldn't say that you're making a mistake taking advantage of a line like that on Rory. Obviously coming in with the new kid, he looked pretty good at the Tour Championship. Seems like a little bit of that weight is off. Looked like he was kind of nervous before what was going on. So I don't mind it. Bryson's probably the most interesting of these three. He's back to 28-1. The length is going to be a factor. It's just. Yeah, he's just been so inconsistent iron play. And I think that the thing that worries me more is he's been inconsistent with irons, and then you have to scramble so much here. So yeah, probably just someone to leave off. But, from an odds perspective, yeah, getting back on him here, I can see it.
Almost 30-1 in some places. Yeah, you got to think. We just saw him, at the Rocket Mortgage be like 4-1. Now, granted, it's not the Rocket Mortgage by any stretch of field or anything like that, but still, it just seems like a far stretch. Another far stretch, 35-1. Patrick Cantlay certainly drifted. But going back to Xander Schauffele just quickly, when I compare him to Tony Finau in majors, I feel like Tony Finau has outperformed Schauffele in majors as a whole. Granted, Xander's been there, just maybe not quite as much as Tony, and yet you're getting almost 3 times better odds for Finau than you are on JT. So
a good comparable. I think Finau and Fleetwood are both good comparables to Xander. Yep. Both have shown similar upside, and they're like triple the price this week. So again, nothing against Xander. Just he seems to get like all the love, and the other two guys just get written off.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, all right, let's move down the list. A couple of other bets maybe that were a little higher, or any top 20 values. I already kind of mentioned one of mine. The other one I want to give a minute to here before we go into our DraftKings talk is Brandon Wu. And Brandon Wu is a guy that came out of college, maybe a little bit later than the 3 stars, or, thought we were going to be 4 with Justin Sue, but he's basically disappeared. The 3 stars, Morikawa, Wolf, and of course, Hovland. He was in their same wavelength. He beat these kids in college quite a bit, but he stayed on. He went to the Walker Cup instead of playing pro. He then turned pro and kind of struggled a little bit, but he got into the Korn Ferry, got some status there, and ended up winning the Korn Ferry Tour Championship, part of their postseason, which then got him an invite into this tournament where he's grown up on the course. Grew up 10 minutes from the course. I guess he played it quite a bit. He said he's thrilled to do it. He did make the cut at the U.S. Open last year. Came in 35th at Pebble Beach. So if you can get a make the cut bet on Brandon Wu or something like that, or maybe even on DraftKings, 6,600. Would you pay 6,600 for Brandon Wu versus 6,100 for JT Poston this week?
Yeah, I would. Brandon Wu has way more upside in this event, in my opinion, than like JT Poston. I like it. This is more my style in terms of the young player we're talking about. Yep. I like the fact, he's played a few tougher courses. Again, nothing against like Rasmus coming in. It's just I feel like the change is just more drastic for those guys, and the competition is a little more drastic. You mentioned him, like who he's played against in college. I really like it. I actually really like him as a play down there. I actually feel stupid for missing out on his Korn Ferry Tour win too. I knew he was playing down there, and he started to come up a bit of form. So sometimes you just gotta, with a lot of these guys, you just gotta trust their pedigree, man. Like they win when they're younger. They compete really well, and they'll go through dry spells. But Brandon Wu, like you mentioned, I mean, he could easily be up on the PGA Tour right now, and I think he's going to be soon. So, in a lot of ways, it's like buying low on. I don't want to say Colin Morikawa, because obviously Colin Morikawa has put himself in a different class. But a guy like Wolf or something, sure, absolutely, man. So I like it. You brought up good points about the course and stuff like that, and then the fact that he's already played in the U.S. Open. Yeah, this down here, I mean, in the 6,600 range, we'll talk about more players later on, but upside wise, I really like it. I mean, other than like going down to like Bezuidenhout or maybe Justin Harding, a couple guys I like from across the seas, that I'll mix in some Brandon Wu this week, and I won't feel bad about it.
Yeah, it just kind of shocks me when I go into the odds and it's like, and I scroll down and I see Mark Leishman at the same odds as Brandon Wu to win a golf tournament. It just kind of shows you how far Mark Leishman has fallen. All right, let's shift our focus over to DraftKings for a little while. I mentioned very briefly that we've got 6 golfers above 10,000 this week, or at 10,000 or above. Colin Morikawa slides in as the reigning major champion defending. Then we got Dustin Johnson at 11.5. So you see DraftKings get a little bit more aggressive, saying that, hey, listen, we don't need to fill a $3 million $20 buy-in. We just have to fill the $100 buy-in, which is already over 10% full, and we're at Monday at 230, 240 right now. So I would see that have no problem filling. Maybe that's why maybe they were a little bit tighter on pricing. That was the first thing that I thought of, though. Seeing DJ at 11.5, seeing Rahm at 11, and then 4 more golfers above 10K. Do you get the similar sense, Jeff?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, we got like tighter, tougher pricing for a tighter, tougher major, man. This is great. Yep. The distance between Rahm and DJ isn't too much. Easily could have just priced up DJ and left Rahm like out there as just like way too good a value and bumped up ownership on him. But now they're close. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to make a decision there. And other players. Yeah, I mentioned Schauffele's popularity. I mean, he could even been priced up a little bit more. He'll probably get a little bit of ownership, but you still have Rory down there at 10.5. I mean, people still like to play Rory, so he's a little bit cheaper. I like the decision there. I just feel like it's gonna be fairly flat. There's no dude who's gonna get like super insane ownership. I think you'll get really low ownership on Bryson. But you might have to look there. There might be a couple of guys in the 8K range that get up there, but I like it. I mean, I don't think it's going to lead to crazy like concentrated ownership where you either just got to eat the chalk or just fade someone completely. So it looks good. It looks good to me at first glance too.
So 2 questions then built in. One, if you had to pick, if you're making a lineup and you really would like to do a more balanced build because you don't want to put in JT Poston and Richie Werenski at 63 and 6,100, who's your one guy you'd put in right now after seeing opening lineups, 1 and 2? Who do you think is going to be the lowest owned? I'm sorry, we have, I keep saying 6 golfers here. My guess is Colin Morikawa comes in as the lowest owned because sticker shock price a little bit there. I don't know that guys are ready to pay 10K when they just got him below 9K at the PGA. It's a big jump coming up to the US Open here. And I know he's a major winner now, maybe a little unproven. My money's going to Morikawa being the lowest owned. And if I had to pick one guy, I think DJ is so motivated to win right now. It's pretty crazy. I know he's been on a good stretch. Xander just theoretically beat him at the Tour Championship. I don't see that happening again this week. So roll with Dustin Johnson is my number one. And if I'm getting super aggressive, want to put a low-owned guy, I'm going to drift to Colin Morikawa. Might be an interesting stack with Johnson and Morikawa this week.
I'm going to go against you. I'm going to say I would start off with Jon Rahm as my number one. He is so consistent off the tee. He's gained over a stroke off the tee in every single PGA Tour start this year. It's insane. So I'll go with Jon Rahm. I think the tougher course here really favors him as well. He's shown just a crazy ability to get up and down in tough situations. With DJ, that's kind of what you worry about a little bit. The driver can get a little bit spacey, and the around the green game, the same thing. With Jon Rahm, I don't really think you have to worry about that. You just got to worry about, is he hitting his irons well enough and consistently enough? So I'll take Jon Rahm. I'll take the discount. Obviously, we're talking like thin edges here, but
yep. This is our one lineup. Remember, too, it's not like we're doing saying, hey, I'm not playing Jon Rahm, or hey, I'm not playing DJ.
Yeah, exactly.
If we had a one lineup and then the lowest owned guy.
And then the lowest owned, and we're just talking about the guys in the 10K, right?
Yep.
I think it's going to be Rory. I just don't feel like people trust Rory enough right now. It's been so long. People want to play Schauffele. I think people will get there on Morikawa. So I'm going to say Rory will be the lowest owned.
Bub Simpson won a U.S. Open a couple of years back, actually at what I would call a comparable course, if I'm not mistaken, in Olympia Fields, I think it was called. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that or missaying that. Pretty sure in my research, that's what it says. 9,700, he kind of leads that 9,000 range. We've got Patrick Cantlay, who is not playing good golf. Certainly you and I have chased quite a bit. We'll see if we're going to chase him again here this week. Danny Berger playing great golf. Tony Finau, Hideki Matsuyama in this next range. We talked about Fleetwood, who's kind of just below it. But of the guys I just mentioned, DeChambeau, Simpson, Cantlay, who's your first pick to complement a Jon Rahm picking if you're building a more balanced build?
Yeah, I don't have a clear cut winner right now. I mean, for me, it's almost got to be between Berger and Finau, though.
Yeah. I'm leaning Finau personally right now.
I think I kind of am too. I want to really like Berger's chances here this week. I'm just not sure. Just not quite like 100% sold on him. I'm not sure if there's anything that should have me off him. He's actually been really, really good off the tee in 2020 as well. He's had like one bad week off the tee, and that's it. And I think it actually came with the Tour Championship. But there's really nothing that should lead you to say like, oh, Daniel Berger's not good. I just think the course setup here favors Finau a little bit more. He just got that power game. I think he's going to be able to chop it out of the rough a lot. Everyone's going to miss fairways here too, which I think helps a guy like Finau, because he's just going to be so much longer down there. He's got the power to chop it out. So I'm going to say Tony Finau as well. He might end up being the chalkiest up here. I don't really care. I don't think it'll be that bad either. So it's going to be Finau for me as well.
Yeah, 144 golfers, certainly okay to play a couple of chalkier plays, because in a sense, chalkier plays in a field like this is likely only going to be 20% max instead of a 30% max. So your opportunity to still make a unique lineup, even playing the chalk, is relatively high. So I just wanted to bring that up. Next thing I want to bring up, wanted to get your take on before we move on to these lower 8K and higher 7K range, and then a couple of darts, is we've been dealing with top 65 in ties, and it has been extremely tilting to get through the cut. It's made the 6 of 6 percentage like 2% each week. I think last week it was even lower than that.
Yeah,
it's a $100 buy-in this week, 23,000 entries, and it's a top 60 in tie rule. So it's even more, carnage there. Is there a chance, or what, I should say, what chance do you think a person has to win the $100 Millionaire Maker with a 5 of 6 this week?
It's in play. It's 100% in play.
So too. Yep.
Toughest U.S. Open possibly of the last 20 years. I think there's a good chance of that. You're going to have guys like possibly losing DK points on the weekend.
Definitely for showdown slates.
Yeah. Definitely for showdown slates. And then if you get 5 guys through and they're in good finishing positions, and maybe you get like a crazy event happening with one of them, like an albatross or a hole-in-one.
Yep.
Absolutely. I know it is 100% in play. 5 of 6s this week are going to look real good, folks. After Saturday or after Friday's round, I almost guarantee it. If you get 6 of 6 through, you'll probably be live in most tournaments, assuming you have, not like, they're all T60 or something. But yeah, absolutely. And with the smaller field millionaire maker, yeah, I could see it. It's 100% in play. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be crazy. I love the U.S. Open for DFS too. So it's always fun. It's always fun for that reason.
I think if there was one tournament where I want a really top-heavy prize and there to also be a higher dollar buy-in than normal, it would be this tournament at this course. I think that you're definitely in play here with 5 of 6, especially if you get all 5 in the top 10. I think it just creates a ton of carnage. I think that you're not going to have a week like last week where you have 10 golfers score over 100 points, and if you don't have 2 of them in your lineup, you're totally screwed. This week, I'd be very surprised if anyone breaks 95 total DraftKings points.
And I mean, I know we bring up guys like Brandon Wu and like Rasmus and stuff like that, but I think one of those guys, or maybe multiple of them, are going to factor in this week. Like, you're going to see crazy names like that, just shoot 1 or 2 good rounds, and they're going to be huge factors. I think you see it often in the U.S. Open. I think you're going to see it this week. So, anyways, guys, hit the like button for us. Let's see if we can get over 50 for the for the Rasmus and Brandon Wu calls here.
Yeah, and we'll give you a few more here to bump up those likes as we go into the 8 to 7,500 range. We'll even dip a little bit lower, as I'm going to throw at you a guy that I just haven't been able to click the button on, but with fairways being so imperative this week and him putting like an absolute god, is Brendan Todd in play for you?
He probably should be in play because he's been so good around the greens and mainly just with the putter that I could see it. And again, we talk about the course. You got to hit fairways, man. I mean, Brendan Todd is one thing he does. I mean, he hits fairways, right? So is he going to have holes where he gets absolutely squashed and he hits the rough and he goes like 240 and then he's got to chip out? Yeah, but
he's got to chip out definitely well. Yep.
But at the same time, he's probably not going to have as many mistakes where, he takes like 5 strokes around the green or like 5 putts, right? He's going to have probably more 1 and 2 putts than the field as well. So you have to look at it from both angles. Yeah, I think Todd is definitely in play. And realistically too, like you look at Winged Foot from 2006, I think you said Ogilvy did lead the field in driving distance. That's correct.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Yeah. But you have Jim Furyk's in contention. Colin Montgomery's not a big hitter. Mike Weir was like top 20. Like as a DraftKings play, Brendan Todd, absolutely in play for a top 20 here. I don't think he's got quite enough firepower to win, but to grind out a top 20, yeah, absolutely, man. He's in play for sure.
Yeah, and the thing about Todd is if he misses the fairway, which we know are going to happen, there's not many more people that I would say, okay, we're going to miss the fairway, we're going to take a bogey here. He's the guy that I would put in the top 10 to save a bogey in a situation like that. Because of his short game, he chips it back on the fairway. He'll put it 40 feet away, and he'll 2-putt from 40 feet, where other golfers will miss the green, then end up making a 6 from there instead of a 5. And that double is going to obviously matter.
Guys like him and Webb Simpson are so self-aware, too. Like, they know they're short hitters. So when they get in trouble, they're just like, okay, I'll rely on my short game, get myself in a good position. They don't do hero stuff, which you don't want to do at the U.S. Open. So
one of the guys that I was kind of excited about to play, and maybe it's good that he's not playing or what, because I thought he was really trending, coming off of a top 10 too at the PGA Championship. He is a withdrawal due to COVID-19, positive tested. It is Scotty Scheffler. I guess we don't really have to talk much about him, but how about his replacement, Brandon Grace? We've seen this guy even pop up at U.S. Opens back in Chambers Bay. We saw him shoot the major record tying low at the British Open, or I shouldn't say British, I'm sorry, the Open Championship. What do you make of his replacement? And sad to see Scotty Scheffler not be able to play this week.
Yeah, it is too bad for Scotty Scheffler. I mean, just looking like he was getting some confidence. Probably would have been a factor here. I assume he would have been actually a really popular DFS pick.
Yeah, at 8,200, yep.
Yeah, and Grace, actually, I talked with Ben on the Live Before Lock show last week about Grace a bit. Ball striking's been fine.
Yeah.
It was just really, he just had some really terrible weeks around the greens and stuff like that, and on the greens mainly. that had really held him back from like missing the cut and stuff like that. So I could definitely get back on Brendan Grace. I mean, T29 last week. Looks like the ball striking is staying pretty pure. So
Yep.
If he can just get the putter rolling a bit, and it really does feel like, I know I mentioned it about, Wolf and I worry about the putting, but I really feel like the tougher greens do kind of neutralize some of the advantage that really good putters have, because, the putting is hard for everyone, right? So it could help Brendan Grace. He's putted well in U.S. Opens before too. So I definitely think that, he's not in the DraftKings pool yet. He'll get added though. I virtually guarantee it. But he's in the tournament now. So he's in the tournament, right? Like he replaced.
Yeah, he replaced Scheffler. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm. Okay, that's who he was replacing. Yeah. So he'll be like one of those 1% owned plays, because most people don't even know he's in the tournament yet. So.
Yeah, a couple of other guys I wanted to talk about in the 7K range, and then we'll get up out of here. Since I think we've given some of our 6K, I'll mention one more guy. I will say we saw break out of his terrible ball striking streak last week, and the guy that I love to lose some money on every now and again, Andrew Putnam. He's $6,200, $400 cheaper than Brendan Wu, and he's a guy that is a good putter. Made some cuts, made at least one cut in the U.S. Open. But 7K range, we got Gary Woodland, defending champ, has not been playing well, but he's now a major champion, so I think we have to consider him at 7,800, right around there. Louis Oosthuizen, Shane Lowry, Abraham Ancer, Paul Casey, Kevin Kisner, and a guy who I will not be playing as part of my core for the first time in a long time, Jordan Spieth. Those are just 7 guys that I just wrote down quickly. Any of those jump out at you? Hopefully you don't say Spieth, because everyone's going to miss fairways this week. Yeah, I know that. Maybe that does mean he gets through the cut. I do think he's going to make the cut. Anyways, anybody else?
He probably will make the cut, but
probably top 10.
What he's going to do after that, like I don't know. I don't want to speculate. It probably won't be pretty.
Yeah. It definitely won't be pretty.
Yeah, I get the idea of going to Woodland. I do, but I just feel like this range a little bit too stacked with other players who've been showing good form. I like Lowry and Oosthuizen as like good cash game plays. I mean, both. I mean, Oosty makes like every cut in every major. I'm sure now that I've said that.
Really does.
But he just performs, and he's played well. Like off the tee's been good. Around the green, he's just a skilled player. The putting's been a little bit hot or cold, but solid enough. Lowry probably maybe a bit less of like a cash game play, but I still feel like the tough conditions. A guy like Shane Lowry, tee to green's been really good. He's made the last 3 cuts in majors. Upside wise, probably Paul. I don't really love Paul Casey for the U.S. Open, but he has been he's been killing it off the tee. I would say Wolf might have the best upside here. I mean, we talked about him being boom or bust. So, like I said, I definitely don't mind it for DFS. A little bit wary of it just because the young player thing, but that's kind of my personal bias. I don't mind going back to Sergio. I'll say that much. I really don't.
Well, if it's ball striking, if he hits every fairway like he did last week, the putting won't matter because he won't need to make the putts for birdie. He'll just need to tap in for par, and he could be the leader, to be honest with you.
Really, really true. Like I might even consider Sergio for some kind of outright bet. I really do feel like the way he's been killing it off the tee and tee to green, really going to help out here. So he'll be in my player pool. I virtually guarantee it.
Here's one that the nappy factor hasn't really kind of hit for him yet either. I know it's been a couple of years now since Azalea's been born, but it didn't really hit in. Maybe it's a little late for that to come.
I was always on the train that Sergio, once he got that first major, he would get another at some point. I don't know. I mean, maybe not. The putter has really held him back, but it can all get neutralized this week on these greens. That's how insane the greens are going to be, in my opinion. So really interesting week. I think if you're going to target any type of player like down that people are a little bit down on or in the odds, just really emphasize the incredible ball strikers, because I don't know who's going to putt well on these greens. I don't think anybody does. So.
Yeah, it's very unlikely that. Well, I got to be honest, I'm really looking forward to this week. I know it's a little different because we've never had a major during NFL season, but still plenty of good prizes to play for across the industry, and of course on the betting side as well. We're going to have tons of content coming out, including PGA DFS Strategy Show with Tim and Ben tomorrow afternoon, and then of course Ben and I live on the YouTube channel right here, live before lock, 8:30 on Wednesday night. We are going to have a 6:50, 7 o'clock, somewhere in that range, start on Thursday. So make sure you get your lineups in. Make sure it doesn't have Scotty Scheffler in there as well. But Jeff, lastly, I think it's going to be John Rahm that you're about to say, but who's going to win the tournament?
Yeah, my big call is Patrick Reed, perhaps coming through.
Yep.
But the guy from the top, I would take is 100% John Rahm here. But I'll be ballsy and say Patrick Reed gets a second major. I really do like this the way this is going to set up for him. I think he's just, again, one of the best players around and on the greens and stuff like that, and just sets up so well for an event like this. So I'll say Patrick Reed. But again, asking me from like the top 8 players in the world, yeah, I would take John Rahm this week.
Well, I'm going to send you guys off with, if you're not an Awesemo Plus member, $8.95 for the week. Come join us. That's going to get you all of the U.S. Open content, behind the glass, the Top Golfers tool. So if you're just coming and want to make a couple of lineups, that Top Golfers tool is really going to help you do that. Of course, the ownership projections, some of the best in the industry. And of course, mine and Ben's premium articles that give you our entire player pool and our picks for the week. So come join us, $8.95 for the week, the U.S. Open. And we will be back. We've still got a full slate of golf after this, all the way up through the Masters, which maybe we get about 2 weeks off after that. So still 2 months of full golf. And this is where, after this week, maybe the fields go a little bit weaker, a great time to come in and get a leg up on the rest of the field playing, because sometimes they just don't do the research needed to find the guys that'll win. So come out and join us on the Awesemo Plus side. Until next time, everybody, thank you for coming by. And again, Dustin Johnson is going to be backing up the Brinks truck, and we'll throw it in Brooks Koepka's face on Sunday evening. So I look forward to that. Until next time, everybody, thank you, and we will see you on the other side. Cheers.